Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good evening to everybody here and everyone watching online. Welcome to this media briefing at the end of the first day of the second session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee to develop an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution. My name is Keisha Rukikaire, and I'll be moderating this briefing. Let me start by apologizing for the very long delay in the timing of the briefing, which we regret, but which was also unavoidable. So this afternoon, you'll be hearing brief remarks from two members of our panel, who are His Excellency Gustavo Meza Cuadra Velasquez, who is the chair of the INC, and Ms. Jyoti Mather Philip, who is the Executive Secretary of the INC Secretariat. So just before we get to our speakers, I'll just go over a couple of housekeeping guidelines. We have about 30 minutes available, and we hope to use more than half that time for questions and answers. When we do get to the Q&A portion of the briefing, when I call on you, please state your name and the media house you represent. If you're not a member of the media, we'd be grateful if you wouldn't ask a question immediately, because we like to give priority to the media. You're free to observe the briefing, certainly. And therefore, without further ado, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to invite you to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to be here in Paris for this INC-2. This is an important matter for humanity. As we heard this morning from President Macron, there is no time to lose. We need to act fast, because plastic is a growing problem for our environment and for our health. As was mentioned by the President, if we continue the current trends on production and waste, we will have in 40 years triple of plastic that we have today. And I think it was very important, the decision the international community took last year in Nairobi, in March, to start the negotiation of a legally binding instrument to end plastic pollution, including in the marine environment. After that, we had this important first INC meeting in Punta del Este. That was a successful meeting where we first gathered all the international community, not only states, but all the stakeholders, which are an important part for this whole process. And in this first meeting, there were important decisions to continue the preparation of a treaty by preparing a document that was prepared by the Secretariat with the support of the chair, where there are options for elements to be included to the treaty, in the treaty. And the purpose of this week is to discuss on the basis of this document about what options, what elements we should include in a treaty. And this will be through the decisions, the mandate that we will receive during this INC. So this is an important meeting. We have to discuss the substance. We have already heard general positions, general statements in the previous meeting. Now we are entering into the nitty-gritty of the details of how best select, converge. We need to identify areas of convergence, areas that need to be more discussed or where more research is required. Also areas that probably are a little bit more difficult. But with that, I think it will be a very important step forward to the process of establishing a legally binding instrument. We'll still have, after Paris, 3 more negotiating meetings, so we don't have much time. This is very important. We're encouraged by the words of the President this morning and the opening statement of the Executive Director of UNEP. And I think even though there are difficulties, I mentioned also in my statement that we should go ahead, above of our differences. We know that this will not be easy, but we have optimism. I think we should continue working constructively, as we have been doing, on the successful resolution in Nairobi, then INC-2, INC-1 in Punta del Este, and I'm sure it will be the case for INC-2 today. So thank you very much for being with us, and you can count on the chairs and our team to continue working on this important matter.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Just before I pass the mic to Ms. Mather-Philip, I just wanted to note that there's interpretation in French and English, so if you need a headset, please go ahead and grab one from the side. Over to you, Madam Executive Secretary.
Thank you so much. And I don't have much more to add because the chair spoke about everything that I wanted to speak about. But what I do want to say is first of all, I'm grateful you stayed all day. I'm sorry that we kept moving the briefing, but you know, it is a meeting that that adapts and moves in its own pace. So I'm really grateful that you stayed, and thank you very much for that. We have managed to, elect chairs. The bureau members, which we were not able to do at INC-1 because INC-1 was a hybrid meeting. So we conducted 2 votes today, 2 sets of ballots, secret ballots, and we have managed to get a full bureau adopted by the committee today, which is a huge step forward. So I'm sorry that because of that, you have had to move your time around. I just want to add this, as the chair said, we must make Paris count. We have to go to the substance of the issues now and decide on what we want to move forward and what we want included in a legally binding agreement. We have 3 more sessions of the INC, of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee. The next one, it will be in Nairobi in November, and then we'll have 2 more next year. And then finally, we will adopt the text that is agreed to in the INC at a diplomatic conference in mid-2025. We are well on our way. We have a sprint to get to mid-2025, but we will do it, and we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move straight to the Q&A portion. Please go ahead. You might need a mic, sorry. We have a mic traveling around.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Paul Arrotiou from LCI. I'm sorry, I will need to speak French because I will broadcast this question in a French TV show tomorrow morning. So sorry, I will speak French, and my English is too bad. So I'm happy you can have the translation. If you are okay, can I ask a triple question?
If it's short.
Very, very short. Thank you.
First question. Outside, there was some NGOs protesting, saying that there was not enough room for NGO representatives, that there were much space for representatives of the industry in favor of plastic, but not for them. Second question, what about the war in Ukraine? Because this morning in your negotiation it was difficult because between Ukrainians and Russians. And what about the message of Emmanuel Macron? Were you disappointed because he wasn't here physically this morning?
Excusez-moi, évidemment, c'était l'invasion de l'Ukraine par la Russie.
I wanted to talk about the invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
So I will take the first question in English. I'm sorry, my French is not as good. I'm sorry, I will take the first question in English. Unfortunately, my French is not very good. I understand it, but not speak it well. So we have this is why I said we are delighted at the number of people that have come here and are interested in our negotiations. However, the space in UNESCO is unfortunately limited to 1,500 people, except for yesterday and today, when we could have much larger participation. And most of the NGOs and observers were inside the venue yesterday and today. From tomorrow, we will have to go to a badging system, a secondary badge system, where observers will only be able to bring in 1 observer per organization. We have 612 organizations listed. Our organizations are all accredited by the ECOSOC, which is a UN body, the UN Environment Assembly, as well as all the multilateral environment agreements that are accredited to the UN Environment Program. We don't accredit anyone. We just register the ones that are accredited from other bodies. And so I would not say that we have a lot of fossil fuel companies in here. In fact, there are only, I believe at last count, there are less than 40 councils, business councils or associations that are members of, that are accredited through the different bodies that I told you that are attending. The rest of the 612 are all probably civil society, indigenous people, and non-governmental organizations, and other bodies like women, youth, etc. So I would not say that there are lots of fossil fuel companies inside this venue. Thank you.
En ce qui concerne la deuxième question,
Now, on the second question you asked a question about the international situation and the ongoing war in Ukraine and Russia. I think that in the framework of an international negotiation, the context is always important. You mentioned that there was some difficulty this morning in the debates, but the result was positive, fortunately, and we were able to elect the members of the Bureau, which was not the case during the INC at Punta del Este. And just as the Executive Secretary just said, it's extremely important. We have an elected Bureau, and it's truly an important step. Now, on the participation of the French president, we were delighted to hear his message today. It was a message full of hope, of encouragement, and France is quite the host. We are delighted to be here. We received support from the French delegations for the preparation of this meeting, and you know, it is very difficult to gather 2,000 people in one place, and their support truly was extraordinary. So the only words we have for the French government and for the President Macron are words of thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Over to this gentleman, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Tolikin. I'm with the magazine Plastics News. I have two questions. One, you're coming back in plenary tomorrow morning, right? Correct? Okay. So that's obviously not to your schedule. Do the difficulties this afternoon suggest any difficulties you'll have in reaching an agreement that you need to reach to make Paris count, as you said? And my second question is procedural, but on a substantive topic. There's a debate around putting a production cap on virgin plastic manufacturing. How could a global treaty enforce something like that if countries don't want to adopt national policies to do that? So, thank you.
Yes, regarding the discussions today, I think we never thought it was going to be easy to have a legally binding agreement. We are going step by step, and it's normal at the beginning of a negotiation to have the discussions on the composition of the Bureau, the rules of procedure. So we hope that we can pass this stage and enter to the negotiations at the groups that we will propose. So I think this is normal. We were prepared for having this discussion this afternoon. It's necessary tomorrow morning. So it's part of the job. Regarding you mentioned one specific point of the proposals that are on the table. No, as you know, the options for element paper includes different options, and one is the one you mentioned. So among others, no? Among others. So it's going to be important for the discussions that we will have this week, no? And the following is to see what options and how implementable are these options in order to accomplish the goal we all have to end plastic pollution. So it's for the states to evaluate which one are the most adapted to the goal, the common goal we have to end plastic pollution as soon as possible.
Thank you. Any further questions? We're happy to wrap it up. I'm sure the chair and the executive secretary are extremely tired. Okay, there we go. One more. Thank you.
Hi, Laura Mercier for French Media Context. I have two questions. One is the follow-up on the location of the negotiations in the UNESCO. Could you explain who picked the UNESCO as the building to welcome the negotiations? Is it from the PNU or UNEP, or is it from the French government? How did it work? And could you maybe tell us a bit more what you are hoping for the end of the week? I know you're looking for a mandate for a zero draft. What would you like to see in this mandate? Yes, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. All decisions on venue are, of course, jointly made between the host country and the UN. We have been doing this for 70 years, and we jointly work together to decide on venues, and it is especially important for venues to reflect the multilateralism of the United Nations, and therefore we are very pleased to be in UNESCO. We are very grateful to UNESCO for opening their doors to us and for making this place available to the negotiators and welcoming us so well. Thank you.
Yes, regarding your second question, as I mentioned the first question, the goal of this week is to enter now to discussion on the options for element paper and identify areas of convergence, areas that we need to discuss more, areas where we have some difficulties, in order to prepare the possibility of, as you mentioned, is a possibility to have a mandate for a zero draft. So what we need to do now, and is our goal, is to go ahead with the procedural issues. We knew that we need to pass the issue of procedural discussions, and then as soon as possible enter to the substantive discussions. So hopefully tomorrow we will have the opportunity to begin this important discussion on substantive issue in order to have enough elements to present on Friday, in order to have a clear picture of how the following steps will be up to INC-3 that is already scheduled at the end of November in Nairobi. So basically, is that the way we see the way forward?
Thank you. Anyone? All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, really, really sorry for the delay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Executive Secretary. Have a good week. Wish a successful week to everybody debating, delegating. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Media colleagues, you may want to hang around a little bit. There's a press conference by some NGOs happening shortly after this. Thanks so much, Jyoti.